Really excited to dive in. Hopefully I'm doing only this much of the talking. We've got Chris, the founder of AutoBrush, and Andrea, the founder of Touchland, joining us here. So really excited to have them both on and share directly, their experience in handling, really just running an e-commerce business, especially during Q4. And it's probably felt like an accelerated Q4 for the last 18 months. I thought 2020 was going to be the crazy year. Especially for us over at ShipBob, because fulfillment is our focus. But it was a lot of the things that we could control, such as hiring, COVID safety, working closely with the carriers. And then 2021 came knocking and was like, all right, the ports are going to be congested. There's going to be no boats available. Costs of goods are going to skyrocket. Facebook and Google and Apple are just going to try to play power moves on each other and make it tough on everybody. So anyways, here we are. So we can hear directly from Chris and Andrea. Before we get into that, because I've actually been able to talk with them in public forums such as this before, like to hear where everybody's calling in from. So I'm calling in from Southern California. I'm here in Orange County, which is in between LA and San Diego. Chris, where are you calling in from today?
Sunny San Diego, just south of you.
Sunny San Diego. So like Chidi, no snow. And what about you, Andrea?
Cannot complain. I'm calling from Miami.
There we go, Miami. So we have fake winters. So before we jump in with like the intros, I know you both have managed some pretty crazy Q4s and peak season. Chris, you and I were talking about it just a few weeks ago. Let's start with you. What are some of the pitfalls or things you've had to overcome in prior Q4s or peak seasons?
Oh man, I feel like I've been through it all. Some of the things I feel like I'm going through actually for the second round, but a worse version of it this year. Some things that do surprise me and don't surprise me are seemingly that we're in the same situation as last year, but worse. I have a shortage of supplies. You kind of nailed all my points, so I'm just going to reiterate them. But the boats are expensive. My materials are more expensive. It doesn't actually matter about my MOQ anymore. Things are still rising, and the combination of that storm with the media mix with Facebook, Google, Apple, and all these things, it's more difficult than it was last year, and that I think it came as a surprise for me. But we've supply chain weathering and marketing weathering is probably the top two things in my mind right now.
So I know, because we've been working together for a little while now,
Yeah.
but I know in the past, from staffing to forecasting to overselling or maybe lack of inventory showing up late, having to expedite orders. I mean, firsthand, like what can you share there just on, how you guys have kind of just some things that were unexpected and how you guys overcame that for that holiday, and maybe if you prepared a little bit differently this year?
The first thing, first and foremost, we ordered way earlier than we normally do. We're still going to experience some issues, but if we ordered at our normal times, we'd be in some deep trouble. And it happened actually last year where our orders ended up getting, or big shipments ended up getting like right on Black Friday. So injecting them into fulfillment centers was a nightmare. And we ended up expediting a good portion of the orders to keep the promise. So we did a lot on that front this year with ordering early, and forecasting is definitely tricky because we had a lot of momentum early this year. Marketing mix gets a little shaken up and you don't really know what to do with forecasting. I would say I wish there was like a golden answer for that, but really I put us in a position to make sure that we could pump when we want, if we have room to pump and the marketing mix looks good. So it's a little bit of a hybrid approach of kind of the intuition, which is honestly just through experience of messing it up a few times, and a little bit of the actual forecasting. We use a tool, planner. I forget it was. We got it from you guys, the inventory planner, and then we cross-reference it about with previous years, pro forma, obviously the cash flow and what we expect to do. We're casting a huge net right now, so we're going to try to capitalize on it as much as we can going into the actual buying season.
Awesome. And Andrea, before we jump into exactly who Touchland is, you guys, you started changing the sanitizer space years before COVID was a thing and before everybody had that on them at all times. So for you, really starting last March, you've been in probably an 18 months plus peak. How's that been, and how are you forecasting or preparing for this upcoming holiday season?
Well, I think like since we launched, we actually saw success early on. We've been partnering with ShipBob since the very beginning, and we launched at the end of 2018. We, after being 6 months D2C, growing really, really good, and increasing our AOV to 6-7 units per cart. We started going into retail. We expanded into Urban Outfitters, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, Ulta in 1,200 doors. So it was a non-stop growth. We're really well known because we're the hand sanitizer with 34,000 people waitlist, which are numbers that you would not associate to a hygiene product. So for us, I always say dedicate 90% of my time to supply chain. That's not like what most CEOs do, but that's what we need to do because we're always behind demand since the day we launch. What are we doing every time? It's just like trying to have enough capacity to continue meeting demand. We operate in different revenue channels. So we have D2C, we have wholesale, we have B2B, we have corporate gifting. So forecast is almost like an art right now, because trying to make sure that you forecast perfectly all the channels when, again, there's external factors like a pandemic that can affect and destroy all of your forecast. It can be really painful. But that's what we're doing. One of the things that we have, again, is that we have a proprietary design. So if we want to have 1 more million units, we have to think 6 months ahead of time. We have to buy the injection molding machines, make sure that you can pump 1 million more bottles by 6 months in advance. So that's one of the things that we did. We really invested in tooling and everything to make sure, as Chris was saying, that if there's an opportunity to continue expanding and growing, that you are not capped by like not being able to inject enough bottles. And then I think another challenge added to that, which we cannot do, is expediting. Our product is alcohol based. So for us to ship it, we can only ship ground. So we have to be very careful on over promising and under delivering. And we have to make sure that people know we're sometimes very negative and pessimistic with customers, but we want to make sure that we don't tell them this is going to get there by that day. Especially this year, again, we had trucks lost, accidents in the road. So we've had so many sorts of like unfortunate moments that we want to play it safe and make sure at the end of the day that we're fully transparent with customers.
Nice, thanks for this. And I know we jumped right into the questions, but before we get to Chris, Andrea, you want to explain what is Touchland?
So we are the company that reinvented hand sanitizer with the skincare solutions, unique designs that are proprietary. And then we have the B2B solution, which has a smart connectivity. So it allows businesses to monitor refill and battery levels to make sure that the dispenser is always available and functioning.
So I've been so impressed we've done across the board, but especially like the B2B level and just getting Touchland and some of the stores that you have. You want to share with the audience, some of the collaborations that you've been able to pull off over the last few months?
Yeah, so we've been very lucky. We've been able to partner almost with every category leader. We're missing Apple, so if someone at Apple is listening, they should buy Touchland. We have it in Sweet Green, Joe and the Juice, Standard Hotels, One Hotels, Louis Vuitton, and many, many other business that for confidentiality reasons we cannot say, but in a very cool places. And I think that's the most exciting thing, that we not only sell like a pocket-sized hand sanitizer that people wants to brag about, but when you go to these amazing businesses, like the brand that they trust for hand sanitizing is Touchland. It creates that credibility within the industry.
I love that. I mean, I was blown away when I saw you posting some pictures of the Touchland plus Louis Vuitton hand sanitizer in New York. That's rather impressive. And I can tell you firsthand, I've been a customer for a while. I've got them usually on my desk, but my wife steals them from me all the time. And then in my car and in my bag. So as long as she's not stealing them from me, I've always got them with me as well. And then Chris, you want to share a bit more about Autobrush?
Yeah, sure. The Autobrush is a whole mouth 360-degree toothbrush. It's a new invention. It's a whole new category. And it's been a doozy to get up and running, but it's certainly interesting. It's a great innovation into an industry that hasn't really seen any innovation in true innovation in a long time. So that's the short and skinny. But we've had a few moments where we get picked up randomly. It's mostly been TV spots. The biggest one was the Today Show. It was planned, but not really planned. We didn't really know what was going to happen. But a lot of outreach, and especially in the early stages of Autobrush, where it was going pretty crazy. We lost a little bit of momentum because we lost inventory, and that kind of all ladders into the supply chain thing. But when it's good, it's good, and we've had a lot of good success. And now with our new recent launches, the momentum is it's there, and it's nice.
So, you're both in the personal care space, but whether it be toothbrushes or batteries, and on the other end, things like alcohol with hand sanitizers, which I think most people discount. There's a lot more regulation from the shipping providers or customs than people realize. So, Chris, let's start with you. From getting your product from your manufacturers, I guess first, where do you manufacture? And then second, from getting your items from the manufacturer to ShipBob and then ShipBob to the end consumer, what are some things you've had to overcome and how have you done that?
We manufacture everything in China. So in the very early stages, customs was a pain. Registering for the FDA and doing all the paperwork in the beginning was really tough. I have been fortunate that has been pretty easy ever since that first hump. I would attribute 90% of it due to the partners we have in the freight forwarding space. We have three major ones, one for the core product, one for all the consumables, so like teeth whitening, toothpaste, and then one for the accessory parts with the brush head area of it. They solve problems before I know their problems. And it's just been a relationship. We ship a lot, we spend a lot, we care about them and they care about us. And they fix things before we know their problems. Oftentimes things, only communications are delays that are out of a lot of people's hands. But outside of that, in that first hump, I'm crossing my fingers right now. You can't see it, but we've had pretty good luck, and I would attribute it all to the relationships and the partnerships with the freight forwarders that we have, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful big time for that because the first round, it was a headache, and now I've.
Are you primarily shipping freight into the Long Beach and LA ports, or where are you guys bringing everything into the US?
So we do Long Beach. There's the one in New Jersey. I can't remember the name. We're doing one in Atlanta now, and then the one in Dallas, I believe it is. So we're primarily in the West and East Coast ports, and now opening up to the other ports. I'm pumped about that because Long Beach port looks like a zoo outside. New Jersey one is seemingly close to that, and trying to diversify the fulfillment centers, and then that helps us diversify the ports. So that's usually our typical route.
Nice. Yeah, I'm like 30-40 miles south of the Long Beach and LA port, and I grew up here, and I'd never seen container ships in my entire life in the ocean. And I remember it was like around January, we were going to the beach, and my son's like, are those battleships in the ocean? And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And I look out there, and it looks like there's like a battleship infantry coming into like the US, and it looks like the 405 freeway just backed up with boats on the ocean. It's insane, and it's just getting worse. So it's going to be a rather interesting Q4. And then what about you, Andrea? With alcohol being in the hand sanitizer, starting with first, where do you manufacture, and then from getting it from manufacturer to fulfillment center, and then fulfillment center out to the end consumer, which you touched on a little bit before. How's that gone?
So we produce in the US. We launched production a few months ago, and it's been going good so far. We have the Incoterm door to door, so easy for us to receive the product, and then when we ship to ShipBob, we use our own transports, and it's been going good. Again, we're seeing a lot of lost transports these days, and they don't find our pallets when we oversold the send. So it's always that send that you need the most to arrive is the one that actually got lost. So we experience a lot of hiccups on that end, but I think that's what happens when you are an entrepreneur, that nothing goes through the plans. And yeah, that's it. Like right now we're producing everything in the US because everything is getting really hectic to bring from overseas.
And then with stockouts, how do you manage that on your website? So like I know you have like the scent list, you've got a bunch of different scents. Like let's say one of the more popular ones like watermelon gets sold out. Like what are you doing to still kind of capture that demand and then, you know, recycle that demand once you do have it in stock?
Yeah, so that app really saved our life, especially last year. We were selling out constantly on and off. So we capture all the
What's the app?
data and notify me when available.
Okay.
Yeah, back in stock up. Yeah. And so we use it. We now are using the Clavillo feature. So we're doing the change now to this one. And it's been really helpful because at the end of the day, like I think one of the things that happened when there was the pandemic days and there were a lot of hand sanitizer brands that they only sold in retail, if the shelf is empty, you cannot capture the customer that was potentially going to buy your brand. While in the e-commerce world, you're getting all this data. As I said, we ended up getting 34,000 people waitlist. So once we got the product back in stock, we started sending out, and it helps us out to understand also which scents really drive conversion rates up and down. Like we are not seeing any major change, but then one scent goes out of stock and then suddenly conversion rate divides. So we really are learning a lot about scents and preferences and like how the e-commerce performs with one scent or the other.
And you guys are selling across a bunch of the you know, your retail partners, which you mentioned, you're selling direct to consumer, you have the wholesale side of the business. How are you tracking all that inventory?
NetSuite.
Okay.
So we took the decision, especially last year, with so many manual processes and having so many customers. Most of our customers are EDI connected. So we took the decision, although we're not like a very large corporation, to go into NetSuite. And this has been the most painful yet best decision we've ever taken because it takes a lot of time to get in. So I think that sooner the earlier, especially like a lot of companies are required to do that before an IPO. So it's always better when you have 2 years of life and you're growing than when you do it after 10 years. Try to put everything on an ERP it's definitely a lot of headaches, and it has helped us a lot from reporting, measuring, analyzing channels, margins, and so on. So I'm enjoying the platform. We went live a couple of months ago, 3 months ago actually, and I recommend it for like fast growing companies to make sure you can scale fast without losing sight of data.
What's been the most popular scent so far this year? Or is
I
that private?
don't want to say it because it's gonna go out of stock. But yeah, we have a lot of scents that are very popular. I think one of the things that we did is we learn a lot about customers. We use social media a lot. We are the hand sanitizer that has gone viral on TikTok a lot of times. We have 10 million views on TikTok. So we've learned a lot. We ended up taking the decision to relaunch all of our scents with a Givaudan perfume house. So in August, we relaunched all of our line with curated a refine and improved version of the previous scents, and it's been really successful. They are perfume-oriented scents, so we have rainwater, blue sandalwood, apple issues, pure lavender, and that has driven the excitement on D2C, but also on retailers. We're going to be launching in very, very amazing retailers next year.
That's great. And then Chris actually is a professional TikTok dancer, so if you need some influencer help. Hey, Chris,
Sure.
So you guys, you know, similar to how Andre has with the scents, I know you guys have a lot of different animals and things that you guys focus on there to, you know, track different buyers and the little ones. How do you guys manage the inventory there and kind of juggle the supply and demand? Because you are manufacturing over in China, you got to get stuff over here. I'm sure things go out of stock. So how have you been able to juggle that?
It's a lot less complex than Andrea's. We use spreadsheets and ShipBob to monitor everything, and everything goes through our website besides Amazon. And so it's pretty easy for us to track units in and units out. On the animal side, it's tough. It's super tough because the product's totally evolving. It evolves a lot during the year, whether it's the faces or making them 3D printed, and we have a few exciting licensing things coming up where it just becomes difficult. Sometimes we actually want to stock out so we could get into the new inventory. So it's a little bit of balance here, but we use of the native resources that we have now, and they've done us right so far, and we're not trying to fix it yet.
What's the most popular face or animal?
Oh, Lenny the lion. The guy is insane. Everybody wants him. We order 4 times as much Lenny lion as every other animal every single time. So he's the man. He's
There
the
we
man.
go. So have you heard of, do you know who Sophie the giraffe is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I figured. Do you have any giraffes or no?
We don't have any giraffes yet. I can't go all in on the giraffe situation, but there will be a giraffe at one point.
Awesome. I just think of like, you know, so it's these little chewy things for those of you who don't have kids, and like every kid in the world or in the US seems to have them. And so I just think of, you know, they're planting the giraffe love early for these kids. And
yeah, Sophia is
Autobrush is the graduation.
Yeah, Sophia is the biggest, most popular teether out there, but she's nice.
So with the holiday season, you mentioned, I don't know if you said the Today Show or Good Morning America. Those are almost like mini Black Friday, Cyber Mondays wrapped up into, you know, 24 hours by themselves. So did you have any heads up when that was happening, or how'd you prepare for that? How do you view that as kind of like a practice run for the holidays?
So we did know, but it wasn't planned. So, and it was early with Autobrush, and that was at a time where we weren't carrying nearly as much cash and inventory as we are now. So it was there, ran out, and it was over. So it could have had potential to do it. We just never got to realize like what actually could have happened. Either way, it was good for us. And so they had purchased it prior. We didn't actually know. And so they already had all the stuff, and then they just confirmed that they wanted to air it. And I was like, of course, we'd be down for you guys to air that. But all of those relationships, every single one of those TV appearances, they've happened exactly like that. And then it starts with a DM, and it's like, hey, we've already bought it, or their kids are already using it, or they were already a consumer of it, and then they just want to amplify the message for us, and it's incredible. But at that time, man, it was late 2019 when we were kind of just spinning Autobrush up, and we're like, of course we're down. And you know, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was quick and it was furious, and it was really, really exciting for all of us. It was like one of those mini validation points for the whole team. Like, people really do want this.
And you said you don't remember the numbers, and you don't need to give the exact numbers, but like where you were there, was it like an entire month's worth of sales, like in a day? Like how would you equate, just from like a scale perspective, so people can think about these opportunities?
We really, really ran out of inventory fast, and we didn't have a ton. So it was a month's worth at that time, but the actual, like, we really didn't realize what could have happened, and it happened like pretty fast. So we didn't get to even see the tail end of it. It would be speculation, but I've been trying to do it again. I think that's probably the answer we're looking for here. I am up and down trying to do similar things, and it's sort of like the influencing space where, you know, the bigger it is, the bigger splash it makes.
Awesome. And then Andrea, you've done a lot of very interesting stuff on the marketing side. I've got some specifics there to dive into, but have you guys gotten to the GMA or Today Show worlds as well?
Yeah, we experience the same thing every time that we've been on television. It's been organic. We have an amazing PR team that got us these opportunities, and it's either a back to school or it's like, I don't know, any sort of topic. They talk about the product, and you can see the traffic on the site increasing momentarily, and then the sales. I would not say it's a month worth of sales, but definitely 10 days of sales into one. And television definitely works amazing for us every time that we've tried. And another time it's printed press also. Like, I think it was early, like when we were 4 or 5 months into the market, we got a printed opportunity, editorial opportunity with Real Simple, and we didn't know. And suddenly our eCom went 3x, conversion rate went to 9-10%, and we were like, what is going on? So we started calling like 50 customers, like, who are you? Why are you converting so good? Where you come from? And they all said that they bought the magazine. So this was a great learning opportunity for us, because our target demographic that we had in our mind was a very specific target demographic, but then real simple audience is woman 45 plus with families and all that. So we untap into a new audience that we didn't even know that we had. And since then, we've been like doing many initiatives to get into that audience.
Well, I love what you said there too, is even as you start to get bigger and you're landing these huge partnerships and you're making millions in top line, like pick up the phone and talk to your customers, especially the new customers. Like that's, you learn more from them than anybody else. And that's always the cheat code. So I saw you guys, you started putting out some new commercials lately, pushing the envelope, in what you'd expect from a hand sanitizer brand there. And I know you guys are much more than that. How's that? If you can just shed a little bit of light on, that campaign and where you've been pushing that messaging.
Yeah, so for us, we were a hand sanitizer that started in 2010 with a very noble goal to really take a very boring and complacent habit, which is hand sanitizer. As you know, before Touchland, you would use like that goopy ketchup experience that smells like tequila and vodka, it cracks your skin. So you had to do it because there was not another option, but you finally didn't enjoy with it. So our goal since the beginning was to create something that people look forward to, similar to skincare. Like, you don't use skincare because you have to. I really enjoy it at night. It's my zen moment for like taking care of my skin and everything. So we wanted to do the same with hand hygiene and hand sanitizing. So what happened is when the pandemic came in, we knew that the consequences would be that everyone would hop on the train, everyone would launch hand sanitizer, like fashion brands, like any company wanted to have their own hand sanitizer, and we paid the consequences. Retailers were flooded with hand sanitizer that is going to expire. When they hear about hand sanitizer, like, no, we don't want to hear any hand sanitizer more. So we did this campaign, and I think the goal for it is because it's a weird time to be a hand sanitizer, but it's also a weird time to be a human. Like, as the world is reopening now, finally looks like Europeans can go back to travel. So I have not been able to travel to Europe for a long time, and now it seems like we're getting back to normal. But I think like as we are craving to be human, I'm tired of saying hi with my elbow. It's not my natural move to say hi to people, but that's what last year put in our head. So the campaign was about like promoting our message, which we want people to live fearlessly, curiously, passionately, but not recklessly. Like, we all crave to go out to party, to travel, but there's still very simple things like just doing this and staying healthy. Actually, a lot of people said like, I didn't realize, but last year I washed my hands alone and I didn't get flu. So you didn't fall as sick as you felt sick the other years just because you kept your hands clean. So we did a very sexy, edgy campaign where it's basically an underground scene in New York, and we kind of like put out the message of go ahead, feel it all, but do it not in a non-reckless way. And we did not know how people would react, but I think everyone took it very, very good. Everyone said it looks like a diesel ad, it looks like a perfume ad, it does not look like a hand sanitizer ad. Like, even some fun comments on Instagram, like, is this like a sex toy? What is this? What are they selling? So I think like we were able to create that curiosity out of people and really stay away from that sterile approach of hand sanitizer brands and becoming more a lifestyle, a brand that is an ally for the cause. So mission accomplished. And I think that finally, when we showed it to partners, investors, everyone was like, you took a risk there because that was not the easy way to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the fun part about business is, for the most part, there aren't any rules. You can, write them as you're going. When I saw that, I think I saw it on LinkedIn. That's how cool I am. And I was like, wow, like definitely pushing the envelope for what I typically see here, but it will get people talking. And like you said, you're building something more than just, hand sanitizer. It's not that thing that comes in a ketchup bottle. And like you said, it smells like tequila and vodka. And so before we jump back over to Chris, Andrea, you've been able to really organically drive, you had like hand sanitizer influencers before, like that was the thing. And it's just continued to like compound since then, from people like Kris Jenner to Naomi Campbell and others. How have some of those come to fruition, and as people have been able to kind of land those, any advice for how people can like expand more of what they do there and do it in like a non-forceful way? Because these people are obviously getting hit up all the time.
Yeah, I think first of all, you have to be authentic. Second of all, you have to have a good PR team, which we do. And third of all, like I think it's about the product. I think like a lot of times I wake up, I go on Instagram, like, did we send product to this celebrity? And no, they bought it. And so I think that's the magic of the product, and knowing that celebrities are buying the product through their teams and everything. I know our PR team always says, look for that name, that is the assistant of that person. So seeing that there's like true desire for the product, I think it's the most sustainable way, because at the end of the day, as I said, like it's really expensive to get like someone to talk about the product if you have to pay. So hopefully you build a product that they want to promote organically. I'm very proud to say we've never had to pay anyone to talk about the product, and we've had, again, like macro influencers, celebrities, to a lot of micro influencers that has helped power this brand that Touchland is today. So I think that's what I say, the viral coefficient of the product. Like we have a product that people wants to sell. Like you're in an airport, you're gonna get asked, what is this? And then you turn into a salesperson. That is my hand sanitizer. And so we've seen that with customers, and I think that's the best part of the story.
I love that. And I mean, we've been fortunate to see so much of that at ShipBob as well, just as we work with some other influencer brands like Tom Brady's TB12 brand and Emma Chamberlain's coffee brand. And it's crazy to see the spikes as they do go through different promotion cycles, and a lot of celebrities who I'm not allowed to talk about. But before we get into some of the promotion stuff and how you all are gearing up for Q4, I want to talk about something that has been, honestly, I don't even think talked about enough. And that's how people can like bundle or look for opportunities to increase their average order value. Andrea, you briefly touched about this earlier. Chris, we can start with you first, but especially as cost of goods sold is increasing, freight is increasing, CPMs or CPCs across like the digital platforms are increasing. It is tough out there. And so looking for ways to find margin by increasing the average order value. How have you guys approached that, Chris, at AutoBrush? And how have you guys started to approach that?
Honestly, from day one, we've been bundling. We've taken learnings from other e-commerce businesses and injected them into AutoBrush. So there hasn't been actually an instance where we haven't bundled. So I couldn't give you specifics on the impact because it's been so long, but bundles are the number one selling thing. The biggest margins for us, it gives us the most room to advertise. And it also, I think the biggest part of the bundles for us is it allows us to demonstrate the full spectrum of value to the customer. Outside the core product, which serves a really good purpose, we have toothpaste, floss, whiteners, more brush heads for different sizes, different styles and materials of brushes. It helps us, tongue scrapers too. It just helps us like position ourselves in the customer's mind that like we could do all of the things for you. You don't have to go anywhere else to get the whole suite of oral care. So outside of like the actual financial benefits of it, which are incredible, like we focus on bundles exclusively. We rarely sell a single unit of just the AutoBrush. And we make it more difficult to find a single brush than the bundles. But one really good instance of that is that we do that on Amazon now. And Amazon's been like notorious about like bundling is difficult on Amazon. You either have to pre-bundle it and ship it in, which is kind of difficult because you have to do that in the fulfillment center first. We're in a program now where they'll bundle it for us, and we're able to demonstrate that same value on Amazon, which we haven't done before. It's not totally rolled out yet, but even on small things like toothpaste, on Amazon, we were able to raise our AOV by $6, which doesn't sound like a ton of money, but it's massive at scale. And just bundling from one toothpaste to 3, from one floss to 3, from one whitening kit to 3. It's changed everything for us. It gives us more room to advertise. It totally lets us push other people out that are trying to compete in that space. And it's a win for the customer. They get more value, and we're able to demonstrate everything that we can actually do for them. So there's the ancillary benefits. in my opinion, actually outweigh sometimes the financial benefits of it.
Well, I love that because like what you mentioned earlier on was it's helping improve like your brand as something more than just like this single item. And then that's fascinating about the thing with Amazon because I know the thing with marketplaces and what we see with our data, because we do a lot of marketplace fulfillment as well, is it's often, I don't know what the exact number is, but I want to say like our average picks through the marketplace across like all of our customers is like 1.1.
Yeah.
And whereas if you look at our average picks for our customers across the board, it's just a bit over 3. And like that's a massive difference because we're talking about thousands and thousands of customers here and millions of products being shipped. And so that's pretty interesting. What about from like a lifetime value perspective? Do you guys have anything from like a refill or a subscription basis to take advantage of the people you already spent the dollars on to get them in your funnel?
Yeah, we do. I will admit we haven't always been the best at it, and we are actually redesigning all of our bundle pages now to include subscriptions. One other metric that we look at a lot with these bundles is that our C stats are significantly higher, and that totally aligns with the value that we're able to provide the customer. Being a new product and education being a huge play for us, it's sometimes hit or miss with like, I didn't know how to use it, or I didn't use it right, or it's not working. So when we have this full suite of like, do this, 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 and this, we have a full opportunity to talk to them and help them not miss a step. So LTV on the bundles is astronomically higher than single products, and it's primarily why we focus on customer acquisition through bundles. But it shows on the back end too, like these people are just more happy. They come back, they're more happy, they buy more of it, and they tell their friends. And we judge a lot of what we do based on those C stats.
And on Amazon, is there anything so you mentioned, obviously the importance of having that direct relationship with the consumer, and that's how you can drive so much more value to them. Is there any tips or ways you've been able to facilitate that on Amazon? Because I know typically it's more of like it's like a wall between the brand and the consumer.
There's still that wall between the brand and the consumer. They're opening up ways that you can message people to have a conversation about a negative experience. And it's fresh in my mind because we had one this morning and it all revolved around education. And we're fortunate now that we get a couple touch points to try to educate them on best use cases, use it like this, or maybe you got the wrong brush head size, or maybe defects. They're doing better. The ecosystem is definitely going in the right way, but there's nothing like, the communication or not face to face, but from, direct to consumer on our website versus Amazon. It's a pretty big blocker, but.
Nice. And then Andrea, I know right before we jumped on here, we just talked briefly about subscriptions and you guys are figuring out what that looks like for the future of Touchland, but what about with bundles? How's that changed, or what are some of the initiatives you guys have put in place to increase the average order value?
So this has been something that we've been doing from the very beginning. I think when we launched, we were on the high 10s, low 20s, and very fast we went to the 65 plus, which is 6-7 units AOV, and we've maintained since then. And what we basically do is just like bundle discounts and everything, and that way we can also learn what's the like sensibility to price. So especially with bundles, we learn like what was the comfortable place for customers to buy the product. And that also helped us when we launched this new product of, okay, we have like an omni-channel strategy. We sell in retail, we sell in D2C, but when you're on retail, it's not that you buy 3 units and you get automatically discounts on checkout. You get that price per 3. So when we defined the new price for the unit, we took into account like what was the comfortable place for customers. And again, that's something that we see that people use it for like gifting opportunities. People do it for like personal use. At the end of the day, we have 13 different scents, so it becomes like a mood enhancer. People buys one for every day of the week. Today I feel like vanilla blossom. Today I feel like frosted mint. So we are working diligently to maintain that AOV. This is one of our main focuses on D2C.
And how did you guys analyze what was the right mix for bundling? Were you just doing a lot of testing yourself? Was there any like software that you use for this? How'd you guys analyze that?
We have a BYOB functionality, so people buys that. We couldn't define, like we had a strategy where we had fixed bundles and then we had build your own bundle, and almost 90% of the people was using the BYOB functionality. So it's like when you go on Costco and you have to buy yogurts, there's always that one scent that you don't want, that one fragrance that you don't want. So we allowed people to build their own bundles on the site.
Okay, great. So I see some questions are coming in the chat, which we'll jump to in a sec. Let's first talk about, preparing for Q4 and the sales push there. I guess how are you thinking about that from both, a marketing and spend perspective, making sure you've got inventory in place, and anything exciting that you're willing to share on how you're looking to push Q4 sales? Andrea, we can start with you.
So as I said, the main focus is supply chain. Nothing matters if you're out of stock. So that's going to be the main focus. And again, like as we were saying, with the iOS and everything getting harder, we're focusing on partnerships. So we're building a lot of social activations, community activations, and many other initiatives to boost that part of the business that with paid we're seeing challenges. And so we're going to be doing different initiatives from like sweepstakes, giveaways, gifting opportunities. We're going to have product launches happening very soon, so that's going to also be preparing us for Q4. So it's a mix of different tactics to ensure that we can maximize profit during Q4.
Awesome. And what about you, Chris? How are you guys prepping for Q4?
Right. I mean, we rely a lot on heavy customer acquisition, paid acquisition. So for us, it's planting all of those seeds now while the CPMs are cheap, while people are starting to browse. Like as soon as it hits October 1st, it's like it's game time for us. Heavy lead gen to build that early bird list to fill up that bucket. Heavy awareness channels now. We were one of the companies that heavily relied on Facebook acquisition. That's a whole different story. But now that we're activating other channels like TikTok, Snapchat, connected TV is a big one. We haven't done it yet, but we're going to start activating those channels to help bring up the awareness, plant those seeds, and then we're going to go to town when it starts buying behaviors. But I would say the major one right now is that we've proven out that lead gen is like a very, very, very big part of our success in the holiday season. So October 1st rolls around, we go hard in the paint on lead gen.
I like it. And I believe you guys were using Octane AI and some of like their quizzing for some of the lead gen. Are you guys still taking advantage of that or no?
Yep, we use Octane AI. We use Attentis pop-up. We use Zipify pages to build lead gen pages and tailor them to all sorts of different segments. But we use primarily those three platforms to drive signups.
And connected TV, you want to explain what that is for everybody?
I'm learning, so bear with me. But connected TV is like Hulu TV, YouTube TV, Apple TV, and I don't even know how many more of these TV platforms they are, but we are going to use a programmatic platform to distribute a commercial to all of those platforms. We have a hefty starting budget, and connected TV is pretty advanced, honestly. I'm not an expert on it now, but seeing how they can attribute back is actually really, really interesting. So we'll be able to see dollars in, dollars out from a pretty substantial level. And as soon as we get an idea of what type of return we're getting on it, we'll either really, really turn it up or just kind of leave it as an activation channel with a set budget throughout the year. But we've produced actually a really, really cool commercial for it that we're only going to release on those TV spots for now. I botched connected TV learning, but I'm a noob right now at it. And
well, I'm gonna have some questions coming your way on that. And then before we jump into the questions, Chris, I know you have just a lot of experience on direct-to-consumer marketing, not just in the US, but globally. With Autobrush, do you guys sell much overseas? And how do you look at that from like an arbitrage opportunity as Facebook costs spike here in the US?
Great question. So we do still sell overseas. We do primarily focus in the United States. We are reopening up, uh, trying to acquire customers in Canada and Australia. The biggest reasons are it's cheaper to advertise there. It's cheaper to activate influencers there, and it just helps us expand in a a marketing environment that's been really unstable for us. So we do, but we don't focus a lot there. We're going to start turning up the heat there to help blend out what's going on here domestically for us.
Awesome. And I'll use that as a plug. We have fulfillment centers in both the UK and Australia, so, and Canada, and a bunch of places in Europe. So, all right, we've got a couple questions here. I'm actually curious on your take here. I know what I would say. Question, doesn't tell me who asked this, so sorry, I can't call you out. How do you prepare, and Chris or Andrea, either of you that want to jump in here, how do you prepare for TV spots that overpower your e-commerce inventory and supply chain? Have you ever said no to an opportunity like a high profile TV spot because you were worried about demand?
I have, sorry, Andre, ladies first, go ahead.
No, you can go first.
I've never said no. I think if I ran out of inventory, I would not be mad about it. Especially that type of awareness, because it likely didn't cost us much from a CAC standpoint. So that would be a really good scenario for me. I would never say no to that under probably all circumstances. It would be a very, very low CAC, especially in my current environment of paid marketing. I would totally send it. So no, I've never said no. And then from the connected TV standpoint, I don't know. I'm just firing it up now.
Yeah, same as Chris. I would never say no to an opportunity. These opportunities like are trains that you have to take, especially if you have like ways to capture customers that found a product that is out of stock. So you should take any opportunity that presents.
Completely agree. And like Andrea shared earlier, there's solutions out there like Notify Me and others. Like if you run out, like great, you sold a bunch of inventory and now hopefully you're capturing a ton of emails, and then you can bring those people back in. And also when you start saying no, that just starts to catch on, versus when you say yes to these big opportunities, that catches on in a positive way. So question here, I know that, I've just seen a lot of, like all of us have seen some weird stuff in social media, especially as people like to voice their concerns, if you will, versus maybe all the positives. So any tips from either of you on communicating with customers on social media and maybe being more proactive on what's happening from a supply chain perspective?
I can take that. So in regards of answering customers, I think we're a company that over communicates. So whenever we see a comment, good or bad, we always answer. Like, for example, a lot of people ask, and it's of course, like it's also our main priority, it's about refillability. So we try to explain people this is not refillable because when you refill hand sanitizer, there's a cross-contamination risk. And then customers are happy about it. Like they are like, oh, I didn't know, thank you. I've seen companies that the first thing they do is delete a comment. I think that's the worst mistake you can ever do. You cannot hide the truth, and I think like being very communicative and being very authentic, it helps you out. So I would say that for us has worked really good from the very beginning. And for example, in terms of being proactive, for example, we had some chances where we're attacked on a photo on Insta stories, and I'm like, oh, this product has a defect. Maybe the customer didn't even notice, but we send them proactively an email and say like, hey, I think this product is defective. We'd like to send you a new one. And we recently had like someone on TikTok that the video went viral because they said like, hey, I received a product, it was defective, but hey, kudos to this brand that reached me out proactively and all that. And I think the video hit, I don't know, 1 million views. So sometimes like being honest and being proactive, I always say it takes a lifetime to build that brand and a second to lose trust. So being authentic and making sure that you communicate, saying the truth, it always plays good.
Yeah, I'll take 1 million views. Chris, anything from you, especially as you guys have kind of tested out different manufacturers and been able to juggle that, and along with the logistics issues you guys have faced,
Yeah. we've broken a lot of things a lot of times. So the over communication, Andrea said, is like that resonates the most. We're getting better and better at it, but we mess it up still today. Like there's things that are unforeseen that you have to really jump on the gun and eat the bullet. But like the shipping issues last year that we had to expedite hundreds of thousands of orders that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it's like you just do the right thing at the end of the day. We really split our communication up, actually, even our department, our customer service channels, into pre and post purchases. You can't always do that on social media, but I honestly can't say it better than she said. It's like the truth, you can't hide the truth. And building a category like ours comes with a whole round of stuff of like, it doesn't work or it does work, or we're fortunate enough that we've built a really loyal community that almost acts like an army of ambassadors in our comments for us, which helps amplify the authentic message of like, we're hearing you, all the things, the bad things, the good things. And I run a lot of the product dev on the team, so all of that feedback just funnels into the version that they want, and that's what we do.
Awesome. Well, I love it too, because you guys are both kind of creating these new categories yourself. Like Chris, with your product for in the toothbrush space for little kids, and I've got 3 little ones, and I'll tell you, time to brush their teeth is not my favorite time of day. And then Andrea, with, like you mentioned several times here and then and elsewhere, bringing hand sanitizer and selling it through the beauty space, which is not what people would expect, and really carving out this huge niche right there, and having a lot of success while doing so. So the final question we have here from another attendee, I think is a great way to end this, and it's really around the team. And I'm sure everybody would agree it's all about the team, and without the team you really don't have a company. And that's what makes it a lot of fun as well, is growing it and building these relationships with people through the trenches. And I think this is also a trait that a lot of the best CEOs have. I know we've got this over at ShipBob, and I'm sure you both do as well. So how do you hype up and support your team, and have them trust you and trust the process or the vision, that despite the demand and despite all these like macro headwinds, especially this year, that you'll be able to handle it in the end and really come out on top? So Chris, we'll start with you, and then Andrea, you can bring us home.
I'm fortunate that our whole team is connected to the vision, like in a real way. And they know that Q4 is like super go time. The whole year of building the product, implementing feedback, and then seeing it come into massive acquisition in Q4, it naturally pumps people up, and like the sales and the numbers and the volume and the excitement of the holidays really helps. But we're motivated to keep building the category, I think, is the number one thing. Like everybody wants to see auto brush overtake the toothbrush and then electric toothbrush, and it supercharges people. That's a great question, because even this morning, energy in the room it's different. When like October 1st hits, I'm getting energy from them, and it's this big ball of fire going into the season. It's exciting. So it comes naturally, but we've also been, at this a while. We've been battling a lot of things, and to see that we're going through some more product releases too. So there's a lot of excitement going on, and it's not hard to keep them motivated, because they're just as connected to the vision as I am.
I love it. And Andrea?
Well, I would say the same of Chris. I think I had this dream when I was 24 years old of truly becoming the Apples and Espresso in this industry. At the end of the day, we truly think that we're making history. We're doing a product that helps people stay healthy in a very big way. It's 80% of the infectious diseases are spread through hands. So I think as a CEO, having a very clear, passionate vision that goes beyond the financial goals. Of course, everyone celebrates an order. Of course, everyone celebrates growing 1,200% year over year. But I think what helps people go through, I always say go through hell, because it's truly what it is to have a very clear, noble goal. And I would say like the motto recent hire that we had in this company, someone that I met 3 years ago. She was a great in the community world. So when I asked her to leave her job and come to us, she was very happy at her job, but she said, I know that you guys are making history. So it's like the feeling that you're doing something that goes beyond like just like we're creating this product and selling a lot, like we're building something that there's going to be one day a movie about it, and truly creating a product that becomes part of everyone's pocket. I think like that's what helps everyone. It's just like believe that we're building something that is gonna stay for many, many years to come, and to be part of it from the very beginning. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I also like the casual 1200%, revenue growth, no big deal. So thank you both for joining us. This is awesome. I always learn so much from you both. So for any of you that need to get your kid to brush their teeth, and are having as much fun doing it as I am, go check out AutoBrush. And for those of you that actually want hand sanitizer mixed with moisturizer that even the celebs are using, and even in their design, take advantage of the golden ratio, the most beautiful product out there, go check out Touchland. So thank you both for joining us.